of memory that's stored in that deeper level of the brain that's getting activated through the body, right? It also communicates through the body, the emotional brain. So it's kind of like the gear switcher for the mind. It's like one way to think about it.
Okay.
I know we were
so
talking
all
about
of our triggers are in that part, basically.
Correct. Yes. It's yes. For the most part, all the triggers, all the emotion, the core emotional responses that also make us human are generated at that lower level, right? And so top, bottom, we call it the top part, the bottom part, rational brain, emotional brain, however you want to call it. It's describing the same basic phenomenon. And there's a lot of other people who are from multiple fields who talk about it in these terms as well too, including some famous psychiatrists, famous behavioral psychologists, because it's a helpful simplification, right?
Right.
So the reason things take a long time to change is because you're working on the wrong part of the brain. Okay. It's because most people are trying to change that rational upper part and they're using techniques that target that upper part and not techniques that target the lower part of the brain. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So a lot of therapy is based around changing cognitions, right? Changing thinking. Thinking and cognitions happen at that rational brain level. And you can try to wrestle a thought to the ground and try to change a thought, but it doesn't change that core programming that's in the emotional brain when you do that. Or it could, but it takes a long time and it's really a hard process to do it like that.
Right.
So does that kind of make sense?
It does. So if you're doing the logical part and that's what you're working on in therapy, it's not hitting the triggers and the emotion. So that's why it takes longer. Do I have it?
That's it. And that's why a lot of talk therapy is just really slow at creating change. If it does create change, because, because it's just not it's not targeted for those regions. You can't change programming by just talking about it. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can sometimes change it by becoming really aware of it. Sometimes like talking about it and becoming aware of it, you'll have a sudden realization like, oh, I don't have to be afraid, or I don't have to, like it's different, but it doesn't usually happen like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So and for anyone who's been in therapy for a long time, who hasn't seen results from it, they know this is true, right?
Yes.
So hopefully that all made sense. And
that's cool.
So based on that, like there's really two ways to change your mindset based on what I just shared. There's, we call them the 2 T's, right? You can do training. You can train your mind to a better place and your brain to a better place.
2 T's.
2 T's. 2 T's. Training and transformation.
Okay.
So training targets that top part of your brain. That's like what all the mindset coaches are like, do affirmations over and over again. Or visualize your goals every day, or all the kind of somewhat superficial stuff that people tell people to do tends to be kind of a training type of approach. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And with training, you got to do it over and over and over again. It's wonderful. Like training is great. Includes things like meditation and mindfulness practice, but that's all kind of targeted towards that upper region of the brain. And over time, you get better emotional control of yourself, of those emotional reactions. You become more present. So training is wonderful. And we highly encourage people to do at least one activity from that on a daily basis. Right.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So have a mindset practice, basically. That's a training type of deal.
Okay.
Transformation is what we just talked about. It's rapidly changing the way that emotional brain sees the world. And so you create a permanent change that lasts for a long time, right? That's where transformation's at. And not a lot of people in the world, in terms of percentage, are good at doing that quickly. Either because they're using the wrong tools or just because they're not good at figuring out the subconscious stuff. So, Before I go on, let's talk about. Let's put this into context because I did a live demonstration of this with your team, right?
Yes, you did. You did.
And that's an example of transformation, right? The transformation practice. So Remember what happened kind of during that? That was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool session.
It was so cool. You'll have to come again. So, so you worked with Cassandra, and I believe, I can't remember exactly because it was like a year or so ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was something I believe to do with selling or showing the way she was maybe following up or not following up with people. Mm-hmm. And it was so fast. Like you could see the transformation. But you know what happened after that? She got a promotion. And she was in the top 3 in our whole team. That's so awesome. It was fast and it was sustainable. And to me, that's what's important, because you don't want just like I don't know if you'd call it a one-hit wonder, but you want something that's going to stay with you, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. That's our whole philosophy. Like, we encourage, we encourage people to do the training stuff, right? Because that will stay with you if you develop those mental muscles enough over time. Right. But the transformation stuff is where you see the fastest change. Just like bar none, it's in that area. And that's where you can change a limiting belief for 10 or 15 minutes, right? And it's just like people who haven't seen it and they haven't experienced it don't believe it, right? Like, Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say. And now I'm distracted because do you know what it says under my face?
What?
Look at my name. Can you see it?
Oh, Gigi, yeah. I didn't
from last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't focus.
That's
so
hilarious.
If anyone else can't focus,
that's your alter ego, right?
Yeah, that's my daughter. We were doing prizes, and she's like, "You have to tell my fans who I am."
That's hilarious.
So everyone stop focusing on my 2 names. Oh, I was trying to be like you. Well, you have 3. I've got 2.
I was just saying, it's true. Yeah, I still got you. Yeah. Do that or multiple personality disorder or something like that could be going on. I don't know. Just kidding.
But I do want to say, though, is that when you did that work, I just want to say, like, it was interesting to watch because it was on Zoom. Like, I could see it was like, I don't know. It wasn't like she was like hardened, but like something transpired in her face. Like you could see, like, was it I don't know. What would you call it? Was it like a light bulb? Was it clarity? Was it?
Both. All of that.
Okay.
What happens with this particular process, and I'll explain. I'm not going to have time to like do a live demo of this today, but I'll explain how you can, some free resources that you can like learn how to do this on your own. Cause that's what we're all about. We like teaching people how to do it on their own so they're empowered for life.
Cool.
But the process we use, basically it releases the hold, the simplest way to explain it, of the feeling or the belief from that deeper level of programming, the emotional brain, so that you can see the world differently and so that you can feel differently about the world. So we'll often see people while they're doing it, like right live, like yawning and sighing. They're releasing the stress response in their body and in their faces sometimes too, because sometimes people store tension in their faces, and activating what's called the parasympathetic response, which is the relaxation response in the body, because literally they're like letting go of that programming, of those feelings or those beliefs. And we see physical changes happening with people. Sometimes we see for sure emotional, their whole energy changes, like they might go from, like concerned or like, or in a little bit of emotional pain to laughing about stuff. Like it's common. So yeah.
I love that. I love it. And I mean, you guys will have to see this and you'll have to try it yourself because it's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
And on our Facebook group, which I'll tell everyone about in a little bit, we do have some live coaching sessions where I do this with people so you can see it in action too. And so if anyone wants that, I'll share the link later on to our Facebook group.
Okay.
Just join that and just say, hey, Josh, tag me in that training. I want to see, what it's all about. So
yes,
happy to share that with the audience. Yeah.
Please do, because they've got to see it firsthand,
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you?
I don't know.
Was it the erase? What is it? The erase, the magic technique. Eraser?
Yeah. Erase and replace technique. Yeah. That.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I name everything something else.
Oh yeah. You changed our names now. That's funny. Yeah. We call this particular technique the erase and replace technique. Within our own company, because that's what you can do with it, right? You can erase any negative programming and replace it with whatever you want, like whatever other feeling, positive feelings that you want. It's more commonly known as emotional freedom technique in the world, or EFT for short. Some people refer to it as tapping. It's it looks weird, right? Doesn't it look weird?
It does.
It looks like it's like weird and like wouldn't work, and it's just like some kind of trick.
Wait, what did I say? She was gonna slap her face. Remember, I was calling it something funny.
Yeah, I don't remember back then, but yeah. I like to laugh about it because it does look weird. It involves like tapping on different points of your face and body. And I'm just going through the tapping points real quick. We have a whole video that walks through the steps, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's there's been a lot of research on it. That's one thing, is that we're very research centric in the way we approach our coaching process. And so there's been a lot of research that shows it's effective on things like anxiety disorders, even PTSD and trauma, from like combat trauma, all sorts of different like issues it's helped with, and it helps very quickly with. So we're a huge believer in it. We don't use it for anxiety disorders per se. We don't use it for combat trauma for sure. We don't touch that, but we do use it for the everyday, beliefs and feelings that cause us to, be a diminished version of ourselves. So it's a really cool tech. It's literally one of the coolest things. And I love sharing it because I have shifted so much myself using that one tool alone. So much.
Give me an example.
Beliefs about myself, like really core negative beliefs, stuff like I'm a worthless piece of, that was a strong negative belief I had that tripped me up in our business over and over again. Things as simple as like, I'm frustrated at this person, because they didn't do what they said they were going to do. That's a normal human emotion, right? And so, but you don't have to live with those emotions for a long period of time. They don't have to become your way of being once you know these tools. That's the key, right? I still occasionally have feelings that come up that are negative emotion. Of course, I'm human, but the difference between me and most other people is I know exactly how to identify those feelings and shift them when they come up, so that hopefully they won't come up again ever again. And I don't do it. I don't, people are like, do you have to do this every day? No. Like once you've shifted a belief, it's lasting, right? For the most part. There's ways it could come back, and there's some nuance to that answer, but for the most part, when you shift something, it's gone. And it's gone pretty much for the rest of your life.
I love this. Imagine if we could get rid of a lot of the negative beliefs. So, I'm a sales strategist. So a lot of feelings around selling is that the person is afraid truly of rejection, right?
Yes. And that is very common. Usually, I talked about emotional memory before. Usually, let me put it this way. There's a scale of 1 to 10 of how strong a feeling can be. My fear of rejection was like a 11-7. It was.
I know that number.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's like a Hobbit number. I literally one time did a cold call, which I hate cold calling, but I did a cold call once to a guy who, it wasn't total cold. Like the guy, a friend gave me his contact information and said, you should call him, right? Which is right. Better than pure cold.
Yeah.
But the guy didn't know me from Adam, right? And I was so anxious on the call. And after the call was over, I almost threw up. I literally almost threw up. It was that intense for me.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so I immediately was like, okay, there's something here. There's some rejection issues here. Mm-hmm. And I did the process and cleared it. And then
you slapped your face.
I slapped my face and slapped my butt. No. And it was gone, and it was a real core belief that was created from an earlier experience of rejection that I had. Not even in a sales context, not even from selling, just childhood stuff that, came up and was applied to this particular situation in my mind. Like, does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I know about that because, for me, and like selling or even being the consumer, things trigger. That's why I talk about my blessing method, how we have to focus on serving, because you can trigger something in someone else,
Absolutely.
Like, I was just trying to buy some furniture and the man's got my contact information. I spent 5 hours with him and he never called me back. So what does it trigger? you're poor. He doesn't like
Right.
you, right? It doesn't have to be exactly about it. So I think that
That's
line
exactly
with the
it.
emotion, we've got to get to that root, because
Exactly.
otherwise you start applying it to all kinds of.
That's 100% right.
Mhm.
Especially with really core beliefs. What happens, and a core belief is basically the fundamental way that you see yourself or the world. That's a core belief. So when we have these really negative beliefs, like in my case, I'm a worthless piece of, and I inserted the actual word into that when I was working on it, but it affects so many areas of your life. So, I was not that confident with women because of that belief. When it came to selling my products and services, I surely wasn't like as confident as I would have been otherwise. It was kind of that feeling in the back of my mind, always present and always there. So yeah, like the emotional brain doesn't forget stuff. That's the thing that people, this whole thing that time heals wounds. No, it's not true. It just doesn't work like that. What heals a wound is changing your perspective down in that deeper level. And then the wound is gone and it's healed. It's like, you're fine,
So no Band-Aids, right?
Right. We don't believe in that kind of crap. Yeah. No Band-Aid solutions of.
Get to the root of it.
Exactly.
Poof, make it disappear.
Right.
And then you can be the best version of yourself, right?
You'll probably never have to deal with that issue again, and here's the cool thing. Because I've rewired my own brain around selling and marketing in particular, I enjoy every aspect of it now. That's the thing. That's the thing that people don't.
I'd love to hear that.
Right? Like, it's fun. It's like,
yes.
It's fun to talk to people on a strategy session, or it's fun to, put your best marketing content out into the world. Like, when you shift this stuff, the whole world opens up for you, and you approach it from a place of power and from a place of freedom and a place of control over your own life. And so that's one of the reasons we're so passionate about sharing it too. It's just like, it's amazing the transformation that can happen like this.
I love it. And I guess it also is shifting because, like you said, power, right? Woo, it's from power versus needing somebody else's approval, or needing somebody else to buy it, or like, people focus so much on the need from things from other people. Well, why don't we just focus on serving, being the best version of ourselves?
Yes.
I mean, imagine for all of you watching out there, like in TV land, right? Imagine, like, what if we could release that in the next, like, in 15 minutes or 5, 10 seconds, whatever.
Absolutely. I've seen stuff as strong as like depression, as strong as, as really strong feelings that people have struggled with for their entire lives be gone in one session. It takes longer than 15 minutes to get to the root of it sometimes, right? Because there's a coaching process that's involved where I've got to figure out what the core belief is, right? What the actual thing is that we need the root. If I can't see the weed, I can't pull it up from the ground. I can't unroot it. And so that does take some skill, and that's actually the most difficult part of the process. It really is.
Yeah.
Once you know the steps, how to use the tool, it's just like, that's easy, right? It's just like, you can learn the steps really quickly, but it's the pinpointing it. It's the hitting the nail right on the hammer. Sorry, the hammer right on the nail. I was just realized,
wait, he's speaking dyslexic.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Yeah.
But I got it.
You got it. Yeah, it made sense. And then as soon as I said that's right, it's backwards. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's the part that takes skill and experience and learning some different tools. That's the kind of stuff that we teach people in our programs. And when we work with them one-on-one, there's a lot of nuance to this subject, but the transformation piece is actually the easiest piece.
So they'll do a session, right? And then they'll release something, and then they keep slapping their face, and then it stays away?
No, I mean, they don't need to keep slapping their face.
No,
no, it's gone. Like, that's been my experience. So the nuance to that is, one experience that's a difficult experience can create multiple feelings.
Right.
That's the nuance. Okay.
So it's like a chain.
Right. And in order to fully free yourself, you got to deal with each of those feelings individually. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I've only had 3 or 4 difficult traumatic experiences in my life that were really, really strong experiences. But those 3 or 4 experiences created a lot of different layers and a lot of different roots and a lot of different angles that I had to deal with individually. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that is the nuanced perspective of it. Each time I deleted a belief, it was gone. But there were multiple beliefs around the subject that needed to be deleted.
I see. Okay. I got it. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. I want everyone to like think for a minute or write on a piece of paper, or close your eyes. Like, what would life be different? What would your business be like if you didn't have something heavy, right? Weighing you down, you know, and maybe you don't even know that you have something. So you should really join Josh's group and see, because maybe it'll trigger in you like, oh man, whoopsie, I do have something, right? So do most people know they have something, or they don't know?
I think most people know they have, for the most part, they know they have an issue that's not ideal, but they don't know what the root cause of it. I find it's very rare, especially dealing with childhood stuff and core beliefs, that someone can immediately pinpoint and say, this is the belief. This is it. This is the thing that I need to shift. It's rare for people to do that on their own, because it's 99% subconscious. Like this, the way it was learned happened subconsciously. We didn't make a decision. I never made a conscious decision. I'm a worthless piece of blah. But my brain, based on my life experiences, created that belief and that interpretation of what was going on inside of me. So I didn't even know it was there until I was able to shine a light on it. So
okay, so we can't just like call you and say, I have this negative belief about myself because of blah blah, fix it. Because what you have to do is help them to get to the root of the emotion.
Correct. If they already know at the level that does happen. Especially people who are more self-aware, sometimes know exactly what the belief is. They don't even need to hire me to fix that. Just go, like, literally, we've created free tools to show you how to transform stuff like that. And that's why we give away a lot of free tools and resources, because what we charge for is our expertise in helping figure that stuff out and shift it quickly, right? In a really safe, controlled setting. So that's how we make money, right? Is helping people shift that. But if you already know exactly what your belief is on your own, just go watch our video on our Facebook group and delete it yourself. You don't need me. I mean, like, for that particular thing, you don't need me. Like, if you can figure it out, then don't hire me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
isn't that nice of him? He's so honest. I don't know if you can see this. This is the name of the Facebook group, the Art and Science of Transformation. So you need to go there and, you know, you've got to check this out. I mean, so cool. So cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. And inside of that group, I mentioned that there's the free walkthrough video of how to do the technique on your own. I really encourage you to go through that. You can find other places that teach it online too. It's not like we're the only one who teaches this tool. And then there's also the live coaching sessions where you get to see it in action, right? I've got 3 or 4 of those up there.
I love watching those.
They're fun. Yeah, they're fun. And each one is like a unique challenge for me to figure out the pieces of the puzzle. But so that's what's inside that group. Feel free to join if this interview has resonated with you in any way.
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm forgetting to say something. Am I forgetting to ask you something?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I mean, we covered a lot today.
We did. So please, guys, join the Art and Science of Transformation. Check out the videos in there. And you're really not slapping your face. You know, I'm just fun.
No, okay. It's not a full slap. It's a love tap, you know.
I love tap. But it's pretty cool. I did something called EMDR. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I did not do the eye movement, though. I did the tapping part of it.
Bilateral tapping, as they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I guess it might be similar.
There's probably some overlap. Did it help you, or did it? Okay. Yeah. That is used more as you can do EMDR on your own. That's used more like in a clinical setting in particular with PTSD and trauma. There's
that's what it was.
EMDR's got some good results in that area for sure. Yeah. There's probably some neural overlap in how it works. But anyways.
Right. But I think the tapping part is cool, you know, and I believe in like what you're saying, you know, about that and just seeing it firsthand. So I really hope everyone will go over to this group. And, you know, if you're watching the hashtag replay, you know, if you have a question, just type it in the chat and, you know, I'll let Josh know if he didn't see it. And I just want to show you though, like Heather said, the truth about emotion drives everything, you know.
So true.
It is so true.
We're not rational beings. Like, we are, but we're really not. Like, when it comes down to it, our behavior is driven by emotion. And There's a lot of research that backs that up.
Yeah, I know. I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, thank you so much, my friend. I'm
Absolutely.
so glad we got to hang
Yeah, it's
out.
always fun to hang out with you, and we always have very stimulating and fun conversations. And
We do. It's because we're related.
I think so. We got to be right. Even if we're not, we're brothers and sisters from another mother.
There you go. Yes, we found each other on. I don't even know how we found each other, but
Yeah.
I'm convinced because part of his last name was my grandmother's maiden name, and then your family was in Argentina, right?
Yes. My mom grew up in Argentina, but they weren't like her parents aren't from Argentina. They're from the States, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my mom grew up in Argentina. So it's like,
you remember which city?
Huh?
You remember which city?
Wait, is Montevideo in Uruguay? Okay, that was where she lived there. No, so she lived outside of Buenos Aires.
Oh, okay, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty good. So did my mom. That's pretty.
Oh wait, what school did your mom go to?
I have no idea.
Oh, you better find out.
Colegio Ward, something like that. I think that's what it's called.
I think she went to Saint something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Heather said, "This is fascinating." It is, Heather. I think, and it's funny because I think we're related, and I think Heather's my brunette twin. Because when I see her on the screen, I'm like, Heather, do you look like me? Because
that's hilarious. You're related to everyone you get in contact. Yeah.
This is fascinating.
Well, we're all related to each other in some way, right?
We are.
Family.
Oh, yes. So please, guys, join this group and check out his videos. And yeah, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Eric. I really appreciate it. And
you're welcome.
Hopefully this was valuable for your audience.
Oh, I'm sure. Everybody is going to join this group. You have to tell me the mass amount of people that are coming into your group in the next 20
flood. Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully that'd be cool. We love helping people and meeting people too. So, yeah.
Yes. All right. Yay. Join that group, guys. All right, Josh. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye, Erica.
Bye.
See you.